Hey guys, this is Austin with Excursion Vans. We're here with our test van today. We're going to be doing a tutorial on installing the Trailblaze heater mounting kit. What this allows you to do is install a gasoline heater under the passenger seat in a ProMaster. It's one of the more popular places to mount a heater, and this helps with that. We're going to be going through that process, really focusing on the areas the kit's involved in and some of the considerations with mounting a heater in this location. Let's get started. So here's a basic walkthrough of what we're working with here. This is a contour ring. Part of the problem with mounting a heater underneath the seat in a ProMaster is the seat's uneven. It's not even uneven, it's unlevel. It slopes backwards. So we've created this contour ring here to match the contours of the van floor and flatten that out. You can see this one already has a hole cut here. Essentially, this plate here has a slope. So what that's going to do is it's both going to flatten the heater so it's not trying to run at an angle and it's parallel to the floor of your van. It's also going to allow that heater to miss this rear plate. So if you were to try and mount your heater directly to the floor, the heater is going to bump right into this rear bar of the seat base, and it's going to make it impossible to mount. So this is a really sturdy aluminum plate here that we've measured and folded, and it allows the heater, this is compatible with every style of gasoline heater that we're aware of, and should be able to mount in any ProMaster van. You will have to remove your tire kit, but it allows you to get to a convenient spot. The other thing we include is a Bundy clip. Your fuel access door is about 18 inches this way, and all you have to do is get your fuel line over there and attach this Bundy clip there. And we do give you some heat shield for that fuel line just to make sure it's extra safe, and some screws for mounting this plate. Everything else that you're going to need is going to come in your individual heater kit, whether it's from Webasto, S-Bar, Autoterm, or any of the main manufacturers of gasoline heaters. So we've got our cutters there, side cutters, really anything that will cut fuel lines, zip ties will work. Some black spray paint or any color just to paint the exposed metal edges. Tape measure, a T40 torque spit to remove your seat, 5-inch hole saw, a drill and a driver, or just one good drill, a caulk gun and caulk, or a squeeze tube of caulk. So we've already removed our seat. We had a swivel seat. It might be different. As I mentioned, we're in a test van, so we had to pre-remove a heater that was already here. What you're gonna need to remove your seat is a T40. It's a torque spit. There's gonna be 6 factory bolts that hold the seat down. Should be the same for most swivel seat setups. You just pop those out. There's 3 connectors to disconnect your airbags and seatbelt signals and things. They've got little detachment points. Set that seat off to the side, and then you're ready to get started. So one of the first steps to installing this heater is going to be cutting out the floor mat. As you can see, since this is our test van, we've already cut that out, but it actually illustrates one of the things you want to watch out for. These are the factory wires for the vehicle. You do not want to cut into these. So we're going to pop out to one of our other vans that has the floor mat intact. I'll show you where to measure from, and then you'll be able to find the exact right spot to make your cuts. So here's the intact seat mat right here. There is this slot where your tire kit would be mounted usually. The mounting plate goes through here. Once you've removed that, you basically want to butt your tape measure up to the back of that and measure up 9 inches. That's going to be your cut line. Don't cut any past further than that. If you're nervous, cut at 8 and then cut another inch off. But basically, you're going to cut from this corner 9 inches forward and that corner 9 inches forward. So we recommend a good sized drill for this, as well as a 5-inch hole saw. That fits really nicely within the mounting piece right here. and it gives for a lot of space, so you can really separate the exhaust intake and fuel line so they aren't touching each other. And then this one, as you can see, already has a hole in it, so we're going to be doing a little trick to make the hole bigger. We cut a much smaller hole previously. You will more than likely not have to do this step, but you can just cut it out of the floor. One pro tip, you can use your contour ring here, pop that down. It's good to hit these exposed metal edges just to eliminate any rust, and this will keep it nice and tidy. So I'm just gonna hit those with a little bit of spray here. Doesn't matter if you get it a little bit on the contour ring. Just make sure you get all those edges and try not to get too much on your heat shield here. There's no exhaust heat shield underneath, and that might smell in the future. So our elevated Trailblaze heater mount replaces the factory heater mount. This is an auto-term gasoline heater. We're going to connect the plate and everything to it. All of the different components are going to be specific to your heater. They always have an intake, an exhaust, and a fuel line. Some are going to have an extra fuel pump wire that comes through this one, and we're going to have to drill a hole and mount through the side. As far as orientation, if you look at the heater, you're going to have an induction fan on the back side. You want that to be towards the low end of the mount kit. And you're going to see a metal combustion chamber on the front. That's where the hot air comes out. You want that to go in towards the back of your van, and that is going to go towards the tall side. And what this does, as you can see, that's very different from the other mounting kit, is it elevates the whole unit so that it can angle over that seat base, whereas this is flat and would not allow it to fit. So far we have mounted this mounting plate to the studs. All of these studs are the same distance and size on pretty much every heater, and they're going to give you the nuts to mount those. It was a 10 millimeter here, so we just used a 10 millimeter socket to snug all four of these down tight so that base plate is there. And now we're going to go through the fuel intake and exhaust ports and pre-mount all of those. So now we're going to add the fuel line. We've got the intake and the exhaust on here. You're going to want to, they give you a lot of fuel lines, so you're going to want to trim that down. I'm about 5'10", so I'll probably reach about an arm's length wingspan amount. Cut that off. You don't need nearly this much, but this is going to give you excess, so you're not fighting it while installing. That goes into the port here. You're going to need a hose clamp as well. So it goes into your little fuel nipple. Put on the hose clamp. Pro tip, if this isn't fitting, is a little gross, but a little bit of saliva and it'll go right into the fuel line. As you can hear by my strained voice. And then you just want to tighten that up with your ratchet here. Again, your specific diameter of fuel hose is going to be specific to your brand of heater. The Auto Term, this is a 4,000 kilowatt heater. It's got a little wider hose. Some of the Webasto's and S-Bar heaters are a little bit smaller hose. The main thing you want to do is make sure and get this included heat shield in the kit. Down around there. Onto this kind of first 18 inches to 1 foot of fuel line. This just makes it nice and safe when under the vehicle and away from there. And then we're going to zip tie this to the intake. That's going to make it easier to route once you're trying to cram everything through that hole in the floor that we made. So for our specific heater, the Auto Term, that does require a hole for the fuel pump wire. We just drilled a small hole on the side here. The Webasto's S-bars. Most other brands don't require this, but we're going to pass it through here. It's got this wire loom to protect the wire here, and we're going to silicone it in so it's all sealed in there. We're going to want to zip tie that as well to the intake and fuel line, so it's easy to route from above once we go to get that in. So this is a good time to also put this contour ring on. You're going to want to fish it through here. It's going to be floating until you go to seal and finally anchor it, but you really don't want to forget this step because it'll just make things harder down the road. So once it's on here, this larger, the tallest portion here goes towards the short end, like that. And then essentially we're going to take these and we're going to push them through this hole. You want the exhaust to go towards the passenger door, and you're going to want the fuel line and everything else to go towards the driver's seat. When you get it through, if you have help from someone else who can go down, there's a heat shield here for the exhaust. You can have that person help you pull items either direction. They can reach their arm up. It definitely helps having two people. I'm going to try and attempt it with one. Probably going to have to move back and forth so you can guide some of the stiffer items where they need to go. The exhaust is really the biggest pain to get it through, but as you can see, once it's got its path, it's kind of on its way. This is where you can use an extra set of hands. So now we've got it through. It definitely does help having an extra set of hands. I had to call my cameraman in for help to hold it from above. Anyone can help you if they're just holding it and help guide it, and you go underneath and guide the intake and fuel line this direction. There's again a foil heat shield down there. You're gonna be able to bend that out of the way to get a little bit of access. It'll bend right back. It's not gonna hurt anything. Same with on this side. You want the exhaust to come this way. Once you've got it here with the black ring down, you want to situate it so the black ring is well nested and flat. This is a ginormous heater. This heater is the biggest heater you're going to find. It's the largest one we've ever installed, gasoline heater wise, and it just barely fits. So you got to get it just in the right spot to be able to use this heater. The Webasto's and the S-bars are much smaller. They're going to clear under this bar much easier, but we have designed it to accommodate every heater that we know of that will work in a ProMaster. So once you've got this set here, you can begin looking at the fuel line, and the fuel door is right here. So we'll move on to that next step. So there's a fuel door here. Just to open the mat, you need a flathead. You could even use just like a quarter, anything to just turn this little knob. And this one, this van is not new, as we mentioned, and if your heater plate or your fuel cap looks anything like ours did, I implore you to vacuum it before opening it. You don't want to get all that stuff down on top of your fuel tank and your fuel pump. You're not opening the fuel tank, but it's still just best practice. It was pretty burly in there. So after you've got that off, it's 3 simple screws, 1 in each corner here. Be sure to set these someplace safe. And there is the top of your fuel tank. That's your fuel pump. Ram was nice enough to give us super easy access to it. And there is actually a free draw tube on this. So you don't actually have to drop the dipstick that comes with your heater. There's one already installed to the top of this tank, so you don't have to remove this ring or anything. There's just a little plastic cover right here. It's got a little green clip on it.
clip that out. Oops, spill gasoline in your van. And then now you can smell the gas. That is your fuel right there. What we've provided here is a fuel clip. This is called a Bundy clip. It's the exact size that fits onto there. It just quick connects on. And this is a barb. That's where your fuel line is going to go. Connect right onto this fitting right here, and that comes with your kit. I'm going to put this back on temporarily because I don't want to smell gas, and we'll get to that later. Next, we're going to show you how to route the fuel line under the van. So before we go down and continue to route those fuel lines, this is specific to how we do it. We found the best path and the easiest way to do it is actually put this clip in and route just another, wingspan length. You're going to cut a lot off of this. It just makes it easier to have a little bit, but not the full roll. We're going to put that length downwards towards the back. So you go under this metal through this door, and you should be able to kind of snake it down, and hopefully this is going to drop down underneath where you can see it. You don't want to go to the side. The best path seems to be in the back. We'll leave that unhooked for now. Let me just double check. Yep. Maybe. So you can see here. Cameraman's gonna hand me the phone. Underneath here, crawling back. We're right above the fuel tank. You can see just a little bit's come out. Might have wanted to clip that on. Hopefully I'm pulling on the right end. Right here. There we go. Now we got all that length. We got both our fuel lines. We're gonna have to cut them anyways because we're gonna put the pump in here and wire that all up. You've got your intake here. Like I said, you've got this heat shield here. We're gonna want to keep the fuel line off of this heat shield. It doesn't get too hot. That extra heat protection, that's why we added that. The exhaust can kind of get as hot as you want. It gets hot on its own. We're going to end up routing that forward so it's not right under your passenger door. We'll do that in a little minute. But as you can see, we've bent the heat shield out of the way, and you can just easily bend it back so that it is back where it belongs. All right, so as you can see above me that is your intake. Your intake's going to look different depending on the kit. This is what the auto term intake looks like. This is your fuel evaporator right here for your gas tank. This Ram puts this in. So we routed everything above that, trying to make sure to keep things off of the heat shield here. But as you can see, from the factory, your heat shield goes right up against your fuel tank here for your exhaust. It's totally safe. We've just taken those extra precautions to keep everything away from the exhaust and the exhaust heat shield as best we can. We go up and over this evaporator, mount your fuel pump here, and then there's a really convenient spot. We're going to include some metal zip ties. There are actually two holes on the clip that holds your fuel tank strap, this strap right here, and you can actually just use those. There's two holes that you can loop those zip ties through really easily. Secure this. This is your intake. It's not going to get hot. We use plastic ones here, but we are going to include some metal ones in the kit. So this is the cold side that goes towards the driver's side. So we're right in the middle of the van right now. If we go towards the passenger side, over here, you can see that the exhaust comes out from under the heat shield here. So Autoterm does include a sleeve with their heater. Webasto and Espar do not have that sleeve. It's not mandatory. It's okay if the exhaust gets hot. It's not going to hurt anything. But what you do want to do is, we're up near the front wheel well here. You do want to make sure that this exhaust port faces away from the wheel well. Wheel, exhaust port. If you have water and dirt and grime spraying on into that exhaust port, then you are going to have a sad time. It's going to fill up with dirt. It's not going to run very well. We've bolted it to the weld right here. There's a pinch weld on the frame, and it's a great place to put it. You could also double it back towards the exhaust here. There's a few different places. I like to keep it a little bit away from the slider door so you're not pumping exhaust inside, but also not facing the wheel well. Alright, so this is the point where you want to have hooked up your heater, tested it, you've got fuel, hook your electricity up. That's going to be different for every kit and every build where you're going to get your 12-volt power source. Depends on your van and your setup. So this is the point you want to test it. Next, we're going to seal this and anchor it down. So it's really good to test it. It's going to be a lot harder and messier to fix anything if you've done something wrong. So this is the point. You're going to want your caulk and caulking gun. A little squeeze tube of caulk, if you don't have a caulking gun, will work as well. Essentially what you want to do is lift this up, hopefully, and we'll mention this earlier in the video, you should have left enough slack, and maybe you have a partner who can help you lift this up just a hair so you can get under here and add some sealant. You want to get under the contour ring and under the base plate here with your sealant gun. Sometimes having the smaller squeeze tube actually is beneficial to getting in there. If you miss a spot, you can always go back and go around the outside, but you want to get a good tight seal so no exhaust fumes make them inside, and keep water, weather, bugs, insects, things like that out. Just regular all-purpose silicone is good from 200 to 250 degrees, which is plenty hot enough. Your exhaust isn't going to get any hotter than that, so this will work great, and most folks have this lying around the house, so hopefully you don't have to buy an extra tube just for this. So now you want to take the included fasteners, these self-tapping screws, and the included bit. You're going to pop these down. You'll need some kind of a bit extension as well to get down past the side. There's some pre-made holes right here, so you can just pop your gun there once you have it all sealed the way you like it, and anchor this thing down. There's 2 on each side, and that'll secure this. You want to make sure you're lined up, in its final position. There is a little bit of play with the contour ring, so just make sure you've got it straight how you want it, and then you can send her home. After this, you're going to want to just do the reverse. You take your seat, remount that, put your cover back on, follow any directions in the heater kit that was included with your heater, and you'll be all set.